Hey there everyone, it's GG Sober Son. March 29th. Before I met AA, I was very dishonest. I lied to my spouse constantly about where I had been and what I'd been doing. I took time off from work and pretended I'd been sick, or gave some other dishonest excuse. I was dishonest with myself as well as with other people. I would never face myself as I really was or admit when I was wrong. I pretended to myself that I was as good as the next person, although I suspected I wasn't. Am I now really honest? Meditation for the day. I must live in the world and yet live apart with God. I can go forth from my secret times of communion with God to the work of the world, to let spiritual strength, to get the spiritual strength I need. My inner life must be lived apart from the world. I must wear the world as a loose garment. Nothing in the world should seriously upset me, as long as my inner life is lived with God. All successful living arises from this inner life. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may live my inner life with God. I pray that nothing shall invade or destroy that secret place of peace. Well, I certainly agree that a successful life must have, as it refers to in this reading, an inner life that is in God's perfect peace. I probably referenced it before, but in the really big book, it talks about God being on a throne, seated on a throne, and there's a sea that surrounds him, and he is at such perfect peace that it's like glass. Now, I've seen the Intercoastal like that many times, the Santa Rosa Sound here locally, and it's amazing. It is amazing. And so that's an image that I can latch my brain to, that enables me to find an inner peace. And I love the idea of not being our thoughts. We are not our thoughts. Now, it gets a little esoteric, I understand. Like, science is yet to prove that our consciousness is in our brain. This is something I've heard recently. So if our consciousness is not in our head, then whatever happens to our physical body or happens around us doesn't necessarily have to affect our consciousness. So, knowing this, we can become the observer of our thoughts instead of owning our thoughts as though every thought that pops into my head was my own creation, or tormented by our thoughts because they're just thoughts. Science can't prove where it comes from, just electrical impulses in the brain. But that enables me to select the thoughts I really want to think just like changing a channel. And then if my thoughts are troublesome, I can choose to focus on that glassy sea, so to speak, where the water is perfectly calm. And I can be perfectly calm. Not everybody has this ability. In the early days, it was tough. It was all I could do to sit quietly in a meeting while others shared. And I had sponsors at various times, even, who were like, oh, I don't want to listen to so-and-so. But my last long-term sponsor said that when, and I found this very helpful, said that when somebody I don't like shares, I focus in even harder. I focus in even more on what they're saying, because it's as an exercise. And he said invariably they say something that really I need to hear. And there were times where I could hear, sitting next to him, somebody would start to share, or they would say something really like insensitive or just not program or what have you, Even I would hear him, not out loud, but with his mouth closed. I could hear him sort of heave a heavy sigh. But that's as much of a reaction that I'd ever seen him give. Until one time, there was a guy that was in his 60s, if not 70s, who said, I don't understand why there's no place in AA for a discussion about God. And as soon as the guy finished, and it was going around the room, he wasn't the next speaker, but he interjected, and he said, that's the most, because the guy was really kind of a proud person, and rarely did I find this sponsor ever hit me with the 2x4 of truth. He would make me laugh, right? But at my own ridiculousness, he'd just bring it to my attention. But he said, if you don't have God, you don't have AA. It's all about God. AA is all about God. And pretty much that's all he said. But it was important. But other than that time, he would just sit and listen and focus in. I don't think I ever saw him in a meeting get up and go get another cup of coffee or get up and go to the bathroom. There are some people who can't sit through a meeting without getting up and going to the bathroom, at least. But that inner peace, we all have it. It's not of our own making. It's a gift from God. And so when I feel in turmoil, I focus in on God. And before AA, I thought God was mad at me, or I was mad at God. And there's been times after I've been sober that I got mad at God. But I know differently now. God's not mad at me. I know that there's nothing I can do that could take away God's love for me. And there's nothing I can do to make God love me more. And so he is as it's been said, my refuge. And as it says in the We Agnostics, chapter We Agnostics, throughout the ages, faith has meant courage. Faith in God is the source of peace. God is the source of peace. God is the source of love. So the more I tap in, and the more I spend time with the God of my understanding, the more I'm going to experience peace and love and joy. Thanks for letting me share. Love y'all. Look up, aim up, rise up.